In life, we often find ourselves in moments of deep pain, wondering why Allah would allow us to go through such trials before granting us relief. But every hardship, every tear, and every sleepless night carries a divine purpose, a hidden preparation for blessings greater than we imagined. Sometimes, Allah lets it hurt so much so that when His mercy finally arrives, our hearts are transformed, our faith is strengthened, and our gratitude reaches its highest point. When Allah allows you to go through pain, it is not without reason, and it is not because He has abandoned you, but rather because He is purifying your heart in ways that comfort could never achieve. There are certain impurities, attachments, and hidden weaknesses within us that we may not even be aware of, and they often only surface when we are placed in the heat of trials. Just as gold is refined by fire, and just as raw iron is shaped only after it has been placed in the intense heat of the furnace, so too does the believer's heart need to go through that purifying process to become something worthy of the blessings Allah intends to pour upon it. When life is easy and everything feels comfortable, we tend to accumulate spiritual dust, little habits, attachments to worldly things, reliance on people instead of Allah, small seeds of arrogance or ingratitude. And these remain unnoticed until the storm comes. Pain shakes the heart, forcing us to release those unhealthy attachments and confront the reality of our dependence on the Creator. It is during these moments of hurt that we truly reflect on our lives, reassess our priorities, and cleanse our intentions. The hurt you feel is like the cleansing rain that washes away the dirt from a surface. Yes, the water is cold, and the process is uncomfortable, but without it, the dirt remains. Allah loves you too much to let your heart remain in a state that would destroy you once the blessing comes. Imagine a person who receives a huge blessing while still carrying arrogance, envy, or greed in their heart. The blessing would not be used for good, and it might even lead them away from Allah. But when Allah purifies your heart through pain, He ensures that when the blessing comes, you will recognize it as a gift, handle it with gratitude, and use it in a way that pleases Him. The purification process also softens the heart, making it more compassionate, more humble, and more connected to the struggles of others. Before, you might have overlooked the pain of others, because you hadn't experienced anything similar. But once Allah takes you through your own hurt, you begin to understand deeply and respond with empathy. This transformation prepares you to not only receive blessings, but to become a blessing to others. The pain also strips away false security in the material world, making you realize that nothing is permanent except Allah's mercy, and nothing is worth holding on to more than your connection with Him. The tears you shed are not wasted. They water the soil of your soul so that faith, patience, and gratitude can grow in abundance. And when Allah purifies your heart, He is also making space for the blessing He has written for you, because a heart filled with hurt, resentment, or pride has no room to receive the mercy and joy He wants to give. Hardship is one of the greatest teachers Allah places in our lives, because it develops within us the strength and patience necessary to handle the blessings that are written for us in the future. When everything is easy, when life feels like a smooth path without obstacles, our patience muscle remains weak, and we are unprepared for the weight that comes with great blessings. Every blessing, no matter how beautiful, comes with responsibilities and challenges of its own, and if we are not patient, those blessings can quickly turn into burdens. Allah in His wisdom allows us to go through seasons of difficulty so that we learn how to wait, how to endure, and how to trust Him without rushing the process. Think of a farmer who plants seeds. He must wait through the seasons, face unpredictable weather, tend to the soil, and protect the crops before he can enjoy the harvest. If he becomes impatient and tries to force the crops to grow before their time, he will ruin them. In the same way, Allah trains our hearts to wait for His timing, because only then will we be ready to sustain and protect what He gives us. Patience is not just about waiting, it is about how you behave while you wait. Through hardship, Allah teaches us to control our reactions, to hold on to hope when it feels like there is none, and to trust His promise, even when our reality looks impossible. The more trials you endure with patience, the more equipped you become to face future challenges with calmness and wisdom. Without this training, a person might panic, make rash decisions, or misuse a blessing out of fear or insecurity. Blessings, especially big ones, require a strong character to maintain, and that strength is built in the waiting rooms of life. Hardship strips away the illusions that we are in control, reminding us that Allah alone manages all affairs, and our role is to remain steadfast while He unfolds His plan. It also helps us develop gratitude, because when you have experienced seasons of lack, you will value abundance more deeply. Those who have waited in hunger appreciate food more. Those who have walked through loneliness cherish companionship more. Those who have endured financial struggle handle wealth more responsibly. Patience is like a shield that protects you from being destroyed by your own blessings, and hardship is the training ground where that shield is forged. The lessons you learn in those moments of waiting, the discipline, the humility, the resilience, are not wasted because they become part of who you are. Then, when the blessing finally arrives, you can hold it without letting it slip through your fingers, and you can carry its weight without it crushing you, because you have been strengthened by the very trials you once wished away. Deep trials have a unique way of drawing you closer to Allah, in sincere dua and dependence, because when everything around you is falling apart and no human solution seems to work, you finally realize that the only one who can truly help you is your Creator. In moments of ease, it is easy for the heart to become distracted, relying on people, resources, or our own abilities, and forgetting that all of these are temporary and limited. But when Allah allows us to face a trial so heavy that it feels impossible to carry, He is inviting us into a deeper relationship with Him, one where our conversations with Him become more heartfelt, our prayers more consistent, and our tears more genuine. Hardship strips away pride and self-reliance, making us fall to our knees not out of routine, but out of desperation and longing for His mercy. It transforms the way we make dua, turning it from a checklist of requests into an intimate conversation with the one who knows our pain better than we can explain it. In the quiet of the night, when sleep escapes you and your heart feels heavy, those whispered duas carry a sincerity that perhaps never existed when life was comfortable. Trials remind us that only Allah can change our situation, and only He can give us the peace we crave, even before the solution arrives. Through these moments, we begin to understand the power of reliance on Allah. Tawakkul, which is not passive waiting, but active trust, where we continue to strive while believing that the outcome is in His hands. This closeness also teaches us that our connection with Allah is not just for emergencies, it is meant to be nurtured every day. However, in the reality of human nature, it is often the storm that pushes us to seek shelter, and the storm of trials pushes us into the shelter of Allah's mercy. Each tear, each moment of exhaustion, becomes a form of worship when directed toward Him. The sweetness of being heard by Allah during a hardship is unlike anything else, because even if nothing changes immediately on the outside, your heart begins to change on the inside. You start to feel a strange comfort, knowing that the King of all kings is aware of your struggle, and is already preparing relief in ways you cannot see. Sometimes, the blessing of the trial is not only in the solution that eventually comes, but in the closeness you gain with Allah during the process. These moments train you to keep turning to Him, even after the storm has passed, because you realize that His presence is the greatest blessing of all. This dependence becomes a lifelong habit, and it transforms your relationship with Him from something distant into something deeply personal, rooted in love, trust, and constant remembrance. When Allah removes something you think you need, it can feel like the deepest form of loss, but in His wisdom, it is often the greatest act of mercy, because He is not depriving you but redirecting you toward what you truly need for your faith, your growth, and your ultimate success in this life and the next. As humans, we tend to hold on tightly to what is familiar, even if it is harmful, because we fear the unknown and struggle to see beyond the present moment. We convince ourselves that certain relationships, opportunities, or possessions are essential for our happiness, but Allah sees the dangers we cannot see. He knows the hidden harm that could destroy us spiritually, emotionally, or physically if we continued to hold on. When He takes something away, it is not because He wants to leave you empty, but because He wants to create space in your life for something better. Something that aligns with His plan for you. Just as a gardener prunes a tree, cutting off certain branches not to harm it but to allow it to grow stronger and bear better fruit, Allah removes what is unnecessary or damaging so that your life can flourish in ways you may not expect. This process often feels painful because we have attached our identity or sense of security to what He has taken away. But over time, as you reflect and see the wisdom in His plan, you realize that if you had kept what you thought you needed, it would have limited your growth, or pulled you away from Him. Sometimes the thing you lose is a test of your trust in His promise. Will you believe that He can replace it with something far greater, or will you cling to what is gone and allow despair to take root? In moments like this, the heart learns to surrender, to release its grip on the dunya, and to anchor itself in the certainty that Allah's choices for you are always better than your own. This surrender does not mean you stop caring or trying. It means you stop fighting against His decree and start flowing with it, trusting that He knows where the path leads even when you cannot see it. Often, what He gives you afterward makes you realize that the loss was not really a loss at all, but a necessary step toward a blessing you could not have reached otherwise. And sometimes, the true gift is not in what He replaces it with, but in who you become through the process, more resilient, more faithful, and more free from dependence on anything other than Him. In removing what you thought was essential, He teaches you that nothing is truly essential except His mercy, His guidance, and His presence in your life. Delayed blessings have a way of increasing their value in your heart, because when something does not come immediately, you are forced to wait, to pray, and to hold on to hope, and that process makes the moment it finally arrives far more meaningful than if it had been given instantly. When a blessing comes too quickly, without any struggle or waiting, it can be easy to take it for granted or to overlook its true worth. But when you have spent nights in prayer, days in patience, and months or even years trusting in Allah's timing, the arrival of that blessing feels like the sweetest form of relief. The waiting period is not wasted time. It is a time when Allah is preparing you, shaping your character, and making sure that when the blessing comes, you are ready to handle it with gratitude and responsibility. Sometimes the delay is also about aligning circumstances. Allah may be arranging events, people, and opportunities in the background, so that everything falls perfectly into place when the moment is right. If the blessing came earlier, you might not have been in the right place mentally, spiritually, or even physically to appreciate or sustain it. The delay allows you to grow into the person who can carry the blessing well, without it becoming a burden. It also deepens your gratitude, because you remember the long journey that led you there, and that memory keeps your heart humble, and your tongue constantly in remembrance of Allah. Just like a person who has been thirsty in the desert values water more than someone who has easy access to it, you value the blessing more deeply when it comes after a season of longing and struggle. This heightened gratitude protects the blessing from being wasted, because when you have truly understood its worth, you will take care of it, use it wisely, and never forget where it came from. Delayed blessings also protect you from arrogance, because you know that you did not earn them instantly by your own effort, but that they came through Allah's mercy and perfect timing. The wait teaches you to depend on Him completely, knowing that your efforts are important, but the final outcome rests in His hands. It strengthens your faith, because you have experienced firsthand that His promise is true, and that His plan unfolds in the best way, even if it takes longer than you hoped. In the end, the delay turns the blessing into a double gift. Not only do you receive what you asked for, but you also receive the spiritual growth, patience, and closeness to Allah that came from the waiting itself, making the blessing richer, deeper, and more beautiful than it would have been if it had come the moment you first desired it. Every hurt you experience is, in reality, a test of trust. A moment where Allah allows you to see whether your heart truly belongs to Him, or whether it is tied to the dunya, because pain has a way of revealing where your deepest loyalties lie. When life is smooth, it is easy to say you trust Allah, but when hardship strikes, when the plan you envisioned shatters, or when the people you relied on walk away, your faith is brought into the open. It is in these moments of hurt that Allah watches to see if you will hold tightly to His rope or let go in disappointment. Trusting Allah in pain means believing that His wisdom is greater than your understanding, even when your heart aches and nothing makes sense. It means surrendering your need to control every detail, and instead finding peace in knowing that He controls everything, and that nothing happens without His knowledge and permission. This trust is not built overnight. It is formed in the repeated choice to turn to Him every time the hurt tries to pull you into despair. Each moment of pain is a crossroads. One path leads to bitterness and hopelessness, while the other leads to deeper faith and submission. Choosing the path of trust does not mean you will not feel the hurt. It means you will not let the hurt dictate your belief in His goodness. Through this process, you discover that trusting Allah is not just about believing He will remove the pain, but about believing that even in the pain, there is purpose and mercy. Often, this trust is tested when the relief you hoped for does not come in the way or timing you expected, forcing you to rely on your faith rather than visible results. These moments are like training grounds for the heart, strengthening your reliance on Him so that no matter what the dunya takes from you, your peace remains intact because it is rooted in something eternal. Over time, this unwavering trust becomes a shield, protecting you from the storms of life, because you no longer fear losing what is temporary. You have anchored your hope in what is everlasting. And when Allah sees that your heart clings to Him more than to the outcome you desire, He may grant you the very relief you have been seeking, or He may replace it with something far better, knowing exactly what will bring you true contentment. Either way, the hurt becomes a means of proving and purifying your trust, turning you into someone who walks through life with the quiet strength of knowing that no matter what happens, you are held by the One who never fails